The fitness industry has been lying to you about muscle growth for decades. I wasted 3 years following advice that science has completely debunked. After I changed my lifting approach to avoid doing these 5 things at all costs, I gained more muscle in the next 90 days than I'd had in the previous 2 years combined. These aren't just minor tweaks, they are game changers that completely transform my physique. I'm Dirk, lifetime natural who's transformed hundreds of bodies, including my own. Helping people build muscle and lose fat is what I do all day long. So today, I'm going to be breaking down the 5 biggest fitness lies that stalled my progress, and if you avoid them, you're going to save yourself a lot of wasted time and effort. Make sure you stay until the end because lie number 5, every lifter falls for at some point in their journey. Let's start with the first lie, the idea that if you're not absolutely wrecked after every workout that you didn't make any progress. I used to think the gold standard of working out was soreness. No sweat puddle, no crawling to my car, no soreness for 3 days. Must have been a waste of my time, right? Wrong. Soreness doesn't measure how much you grew. If soreness equaled gains, then my training partner and I would just take turns slamming the car door on our quads once a week and just call it a leg day. Soreness mostly measures how different the stress was compared to what your body is used to. So if you switch exercises, do a new movement pattern, maybe you have some more eccentric loading, boom, you're sore. But soreness doesn't actually mean that you created meaningful muscle growth. And chasing it can actually really backfire because the goal isn't to just feel different after every session. The goal is to apply enough tension and progressive overload over time that your body adapts and not collapses. Don't get me wrong, you should train hard. You should challenge yourself. But if you're judging your training by how sore you are the next day, then you're using the wrong scoreboard. Smart training leaves you stimulated and not crippled. So if you finish a workout and if you don't feel like you've been hit by a bus, good. It means you're training smart, you're setting yourself up to recover, adapt, and actually build muscle. So now that we've cleared up that soreness myth, let's talk about another massive time waster that's probably cost me a year of progress. And this next lie is something that you'll hear from almost any gym bro who's been lifting consistently for more than 6 months. The next lie, I believe, the idea that constantly switching things up is going to keep my muscles guessing and therefore growing. I jump between new workouts like a motivational speaker jumps between side hustles. One week it was powerlifting, the next week it was functional training because I saw a guy on Instagram bouncing on a Bosu ball, juggling kettlebells. Here's the truth. Your muscles aren't smart. They don't get bored. They don't stay up to 2 a.m. scrolling on Instagram looking for new shock methods. Muscle grows through progressive overload, meaning adding more weight, adding more reps, more control or quality over time on a consistent movement pattern. So if you're always trying to change exercises, change your tempo, or change everything in your life, you're not giving your body the time to actually start improving. Strength is a skill. Muscle is an adaptation to getting stronger at specific skills. Imagine trying to impress a first date, but with a different outfit, a different accent, and a different name each time. Maybe it's kind of exciting, probably not. And once they realize that they don't actually know who you are, you're just gonna be out of luck. And it's the same thing with training. If you're always reinventing your workouts, your muscles never get a chance to actually commit to anything. I made this mistake for years, hopping programs every 4 weeks or so because I just got bored or because shocked the muscles, bro. Spoiler, the only thing I shocked was my ability to make any real progress. My muscles weren't confused. They were just bored of me ghosting them before we can establish a meaningful relationship. Just pick a few key lifts, master those, and progressively get stronger at them. That's how you actually force growth, not by turning your training plan into a buffet line. But constantly changing your workouts isn't even the worst offender. This next lie might be the most common one I see, especially with guys who are just starting out. It's that comfortable lie that makes you feel productive while you actually get nowhere. Lie number 3 is believing that just showing up means you're automatically getting better. I wish it was that simple. The truth is, if you're not practicing the right way, showing up means you're just rehearsing bad habits. You don't get stronger by clocking gym hours. You get stronger by practicing good reps with the right execution over and over again. I know this firsthand. I used to spend 2 to 3 hours in the gym 6 days a week thinking, oh, more is so much better. Now I'm only in there for an hour and 15 minutes, and that's max 4 days a week. And I'm getting better results than ever. You see, it's not about how long you're there, it's about how well you're practicing when you are. And one of the biggest areas that people screw this up, tempo. If your bench press is slow and controlled one week and then rushed and sloppy the next, you're not building a stronger bench, bro. You're just practicing inconsistency. Every rep, every set, it needs the same tempo, the same range of motion, and the same focus. Proper execution is gonna beat random effort 100% of the time. And look, I get it. Some days you walk into the gym, you feel like a beast. Some days you feel like garbage. Sometimes you're slow and controlled, and sometimes Katy Perry's firework comes on and suddenly you think you can just, throw that barbell through the ceiling. But random energy equals random results. Think about it. Nobody practices practices free throws by just launching the ball differently every time depending on whatever's playing on their playlist. It's the same thing here. Random reps lead to random results. And here's where it gets even sneakier. One of the easiest ways that people sabotage their own progress is by subconsciously changing their tempo mid-set, especially on tough sets. And it doesn't even matter if you're a beginner or an advanced lifter, you're probably going to be making one of these two mistakes. If you're a beginner, then you're going to speed up those reps in an attempt to finish the set faster and feel less pain. And then if you're an advanced lifter, you know that pain and the tension is the goal. So what you're probably going to do subconsciously is you're going to slow down that negative, thinking that you're creating more tension and getting more out of those final reps. But really, either way, you're just making it impossible to track real progress. If your first 5 reps are a 2-second eccentric, the next 2 are a 3-second eccentric, and on the last rep, you're basically just hanging out at the bottom like you forgot you were lifting. So when you finish the set and think, oh, I did 8 reps. Yeah, technically, but how many consistent identical reps did you actually do? You have no clue. And that's the real problem. Consistent reps equals consistent progress. Random reps equals random results. If you're not practicing properly, you're not progressing. You're just staying busy. Get consistent, control your tempo, master your movement patterns. And that's how you'll actually get stronger. Speaking of quality over quantity, that's going to bring us to our 4th lie, one that's responsible for some of the most inefficient workouts I see in the gym every single day. It's the idea that believing that doing more reps automatically means you're building more muscle. I used to think that by extending my rep ranges and trying to, out rep my last workout, that was going to be the key to faster growth. But here's the reality. Doing higher reps isn't inherently better than taking a lower rep working set close to failure. More reps doesn't mean more muscle growth. And let me explain. To keep it simple, let's say your rep range is 7 to 10 reps on incline press and you reach failure at 7 high quality tension filled reps. Even though you barely hit the rep range, that's a perfect set. Doing 10 reps, even if they're technically perfect, doesn't automatically create more muscle growth if reps 8, 9, and 10 aren't even adding additional meaningful stimulus. Why? Because the 5 reps leading up to failure are always going to be the most important for muscle growth, with the last rep being the most stimulating. So if you hit failure at 7, then those first 2 reps of those 7 were just you fatiguing yourself before you got into the most important final 5 reps in that set that build the most muscle. If you push to 10 reps, all you're really doing is accumulating more fatigue before you even get into the reps that truly matter. And if you're wondering, well, then why don't we just train every single set to failure at 5 reps? Well, honestly, that's a whole separate video. Drop a comment if you want me to break that one down. But there are also 3 more reasons that'll help drive this point home on why chasing more reps doesn't automatically build more muscle. First off is cardiovascular fatigue. Higher reps can exhaust your heart and lungs before your target muscle actually fails, meaning that if you're huffing and puffing during the set, then you might be limited on how many reps you can actually get. Number 2 is going to be that burning sensation. So that lactic acid buildup can actually make you stop early because it just burns, not because the muscle is fully trained. And then the third reason is going to be stimulus dilution. So as fatigue builds, a lot of the time, even subconsciously, a lot of the time you tend to rush your reps or shorten your range of motion, meaning that each rep is actually going to deliver far less mechanical tension. So instead of trying to think more reps equals better workout, you need to be thinking more stimulus equals better workout. And I get why people get confused. Higher reps sets usually deliver a better pump, but the pump is often just a sign of muscular endurance fatigue and not maximum tension on the muscle fibers that you're trying to grow. So just focus on trying to maximize tension inside of whatever your programmed rep range is, whether that's 6 to 8, 7 to 10, or just whatever you're doing. More work isn't the goal. More stimulus is. It's like texting someone 47 times in a row versus sending one perfect message that actually is going to get a response. Quality over quantity, people. Unless you're trying to get a restraining order, then definitely go with quantity. And finally, we have reached the biggest, most damaging lie of all of them. The one that's probably been repeated to you more than any other. It sounds motivational, it seems logical, but it's actually holding back your progress in a major way. Lie number 5, the classic advice, just work harder, bro. I feel bad because this is probably the one that most people fall for. Want to speed up your fat loss? Just do more cardio on the treadmill. Want to build more muscle? Just work out more. Look, your training matters. You should train hard. You should train smart. You should push yourself. But recovery should be the number 1 priority. Training is important, but without proper recovery, your body literally has no reason or ability, for that matter, to actually build muscle. And when it comes to recovery, sleep is the most overlooked weapon. If you aren't doing everything in your power to fix your sleep, then you clearly don't understand the importance. So let's fix that. Sleep isn't just about feeling rested. The majority of your muscle growth happens when you sleep, especially during deep sleep when your body is pumping out the most growth hormone. If you sleep poorly, you raise your cortisol, you slow your metabolism, you make it harder to lose fat and make it easier to gain fat, especially visceral fat around the abdomen. Poor sleep is going to wreck your appetite regulation so that you'll actually have higher cravings, you'll feel hungrier, and you're probably going to sabotage your diet without even realizing why. And then finally, if your sleep stays bad long enough, it can just crash your natural testosterone testosterone levels, which leads to strength plateaus, mood swings, depression, complete burnout, not to mention what happens downstairs. Fixing your sleep isn't optional. And if you want to actually change your body, think about it this way. Every night, your body goes through a routine checklist. Repairing your muscles, recovering your organs, balancing your hormones, consolidating your memories, everything. If you don't give it enough sleep, it doesn't get to go through the full checklist. And the things you care the most about, muscle growth, fat loss, testosterone production, these are the things that get cut short first. I learned that lesson the hard way, thinking that I could just train harder and outwork bad recovery. You can't. And it's not just sleep either. You also have to manage your food, your stress, and avoid the common mistake a lot of people make, which is thinking that adding a lot more cardio on top of lifting is gonna speed things up. If you're lifting hard or stacking 30 minutes or more of cardio on top of your sessions every single day, you're not speeding up fat loss. You're draining recovery resources and you're slowing yourself down. More training doesn't always mean more progress, but better recovery, it always does. And look, you can argue with me in the comments if you want, but based on everything that I've seen, the 5 most important aspects to making consistent progress are in the following order: sleep, proper eating, training smart, managing stress, supplements. And honestly, supplements make up less than 2% of the equation. If you crush a workout but ignore your sleep, your stress, or your eating, then the guy who trains like a Neanderthal but sleeps his ass off and gets enough calories and nutrients, he's always gonna look better than you. Train hard, recover harder, grow faster. Now you know the 5 fitness lies to avoid, but here's the truth. Knowledge without action is useless. If you're serious about breaking through your plateau and finally building the physique that you've been working so hard for, then I created 2 free guides specifically for you. I personally wrote every word and I went in depth on exactly what you need to do to fix your training and nutrition. Please grab these for free with the first link in the description. Both guides are going to cover the exact systems that my clients use to transform their bodies every day. And every day that you train and eat without these principles is another day that you're just going to be leaving gains on the table. And the physique that you want, it's closer than you think, but only if you take action. Thanks for watching.